It's a very sobering thought that hypersonic weapons, for the most part, cannot be defended against right now. You could certainly see a launch of a missile booster rocket carrying a hypersonic weapon, but once that weapon, say it's a glider, releases from the rocket, you lose track of it. Currently, there are 3 countries that are vying for the lead in hypersonic weapons development: China, Russia, and the United States. Let me start by talking about China. They recently tested a hypersonic weapon called the Xingkong-2. It's a hypersonic cruise missile. This weapon was released from a rocket high over the sky of northeastern China. It then glided through the atmosphere, going at Mach 6 times the speed of sound, bobbing and weaving, riding the shock waves that it was emitting. Another variety that China is pursuing is called the Dongfeng 17 East Wind. It is a hypersonic glide vehicle. What's important is that it just doesn't simply release and glide to a target. It can be maneuvered, and that maneuverability at such high speed is what these countries really prize about hypersonic weapons. Russia tested what's called the Avangard, and the Avangard is a hypersonic glide vehicle. According to the Russian sources, they claim that this hypersonic glide vehicle glided 6,000 kilometers across the country to the Far East, the Kamchatka Peninsula, traveling upwards of Mach 27. So that's amazingly, blazingly fast speed. The United States, also very long-standing interest in hypersonics. They have several programs in active testing now. All branches of the military are pursuing hypersonic weapons, both the glide vehicles and the cruise missiles. The hypersonic cruise missiles, they are called air-breathing, so they propel themselves through the air. Now, I should say that these hypersonic cruise missiles, for the most part, they are released at high speed from either a booster missile or from a jet. When they're released, they're traveling pretty fast, but then they propel themselves using what's called a scramjet engine. It's basically a tube where the air comes in, fuel's injected, they mix, combust, and that provides propulsion. Scramjet engines have also been described to me as the most challenging engine to get to work because of the extreme conditions that they're operating under. And the reason is when air is moving so fast at hypersonic speed into this tube, molecules have fractions of milliseconds to mix with the air. There are other problems as well, and that has to do with the boundary layer of air that the vehicle is traveling through at hypersonic speed. This boundary layer actually thickens the faster you go at hypersonic speed. And in this very complex kind of physical environment, turbulence causes spikes in temperature. And the spikes in temperature can heat up the skin of the vehicle to very high temperatures. Traveling at very high hypersonic speeds, high Mach numbers, air around the vehicle ionizes to the extent that radio signals have trouble getting through. So let's say these hypersonic gliders that can go upwards of Mach 25, 27, you would have this problem communicating with them. Testing vehicles at these hypersonic speeds, it's extremely expensive. So there's been very limited testing, and because there's been limited testing, you have a pretty patchy success rate. Russia's already deploying hypersonics. They beat the US to the punch in that way. It really is a competitive space race in a way.